What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today it's time to look at the most expensive, the most valuable, phrase it how you will, cards from EB-01, the Memorial Collection. The set is now out in Japan, it's been out for a couple of days, so we can have a look at exactly what is going on with the prices. For me personally, I am delighted to see that neither the alternate art Laboon nor the leader Kyros actually makes it onto this list. This makes me delighted, because they are probably the two cards I most want from this set. Seeing them not on the list just makes me very happy. So what does make it on the list? Well, in a number 10, we basically got 3 cards, all coming in at 3,500 yen. And I can't really pick between them, so I'm not going to pick between them. I'm just going to put them all there at 3,500 yen, which incidentally comes out at about $24. So we've got ourselves the alternate art leader, Hannibal. Now this is of course an alternate art leader, and we got the new style alternate art leaders here, which are basically like they were in OP04. They're the best leaders, they're amazing. And it's a decent leader. End of your turn, you can return a character with Impel down that costs 2 or more to your hand, and then add a Don deck, or Don from your Don deck active. It's fine. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be setting the metagame on fire, so which is why it comes in here as kind of joint number 10. The alternate art Kazuki Hiyori also makes its way in here as a card which is frankly decent and worth being on the list. This is the one that allows you to trash this character and then play a 5-cost or less Wano country from your hand and then draw a card. Basically play a 4-cost to play a 5-cost and draw a card. Plus rather beautiful artwork with Zoro chilling in the background is never a terrible thing. And then we've got Kid and Killer. This is another one of those double character cards that is both slash and special. And this one's got Rush, and when attacking, if your opponent has 2 or less life, you gain 2,000 power. So a 7k with Rush, which is not too bad. All of these are decent cards that earn their way onto the list, but they don't really well, one of those 3 makes the top 10. I'm going to let you figure out which one. But from now on, it's a little bit easier, although some of them are tied. In at number 9, we've got T-Bone. And T-Bone comes in at about 4,000 yen. And 4,000 yen translates to roughly $27. And there are a few at 4,000 yen. I actually do feel pretty good about the order here, incidentally. So whereas a minute ago I couldn't really figure out the order, everywhere I looked they were all pretty much the same, here I do feel a little bit better about the order, which makes me kind of happy. And T-Bone isn't exactly a character that I'm in love with, but it's an alternate art of what seems to be a pretty gosh darned good and playable card. And that's going to get it up here on the list. 5 cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 2,000 navy, and on play you KO an opponent's character that costs 2 or less. And look, the on-play skill is really good, especially in those black decks that like, lowering cost, and there are many of them. And it's got counter plus 2,000, but it's Navy, so it's searchable for all those Navy searches, and yeah. The fact that it's Navy, counter plus 2k, and can KO a 2k on play, that tells you what you need to know about this card. It is likely to see a bunch of play. Now, in at number 8, also at 4,000 yen, $27, we've got Cavendish. And maybe Cavendish should be a little bit below this, because I've just told you how good T-Bone is as a card. Maybe. It's honestly a moot point now, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to swap them around on your list, you go right ahead. And what we've got from Cavendish here is a green card, 5 cost, 6,000 power, counter plus 1,000, and on play and when attacking, if your leader is a supernova card, and there are no other Cavendish that you've got in play, activate 2 of your Don. It's really good. Now, it only works if you're playing a supernova leader, and it only works if you are having this as your only Cavendish. But it works on play and when attacking, and that makes it pretty gosh darn good. Now, in at number 7, and again at 4,000 yen, last one we've got here, we've got Chopper, and Chopper is awesome. Chopper's brilliant. Free cost, 4,000 power, counter plus 1,000. You've got blocker. And we've got Don X2. When attacking, give one of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power. It's really good. It's got a ridiculous combo with, for instance, the leader Kid from Starter Deck 10, because it's a blocker that can be played for free using that Kid, and then it also lowers power, which is something that Kid absolutely wants to do, like at all times. Like, that's basically all Kid really wants to play, is stuff that lowers power. So yeah, this is one of those that seems extremely good and seems destined to see a rather large amount of play. Plus, of course, it's Chopper, and Chopper is an incredibly popular character. So that explains it. In at number 6, we're going up to 5,000 yen for the alternate art Kozuki Oden leader. 5,000 yen, incidentally, we're talking about $34. And you'll notice this is the highest leader on this list. I told you Hannibal was tied for 10. I told you Kyros didn't make the list. The leaders in this set are really not going up that high in terms of value, which is generally indicative of a player base that is not terribly excited about them. If the leaders are good, people want to pick them up because they are, well, they're the best versions and you're only playing one and you put it in a big fancy top loader and it's lovely. So if the leaders are cheap, it's probably people saying they don't think they're that good. Although it is absolutely stunning in terms of artwork. It basically says that according to the rules, your Wano characters that don't have a counter actually have counter plus 1,000, which is awesome. And then you got Don X1 when attacking. If you've got a Wano country character with 5 cost or more, then this leader gains 1,000 power until the start of your next turn. It's cool. Honestly, it's a really cool leader. It's one that seems to have a bunch of potential, but I can look at this and understand that not everybody is going to think this is an amazing leader, and we've got some very, 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 very good leaders at the moment that are seeing a bunch of play. So I do understand. I just think the artwork here is also absolutely brilliant. Oh, while we're talking artwork of leaders, I believe I told you there were 2 different versions of Rebecca on the Kyros alternate art. It was a nice idea, but it's probably Scarlet is the other one. Sorry, a bunch of people point that out. I did pin a comment at the time, but let me tell you now. In at number 5, coming in at 6,000 yen, we've got Shirahoshi. 6,000 yen, you're talking somewhere in the region of $41. And Shirahoshi gets a lot of love in the One Piece card game. Like, so much love. So much more than you would generally expect some characters to get. And Shirahoshi not only gets a bunch of cards, but Shirahoshi seems to, like, always be good. And now there's a lovely alternate art of Shirahoshi. And it is actually a pretty good card. It's a 2 cost. When it's KO'd by an opponent's effect, you add it to the top, you add a card from the top of your deck to your life. And it's a blocker. So it's a blocker, but if your opponent tries to take it out before you can block, you get to add a life, which your opponent's not going to let you do, which means this is then going to actually come around and appear and be used as a blocker, which is clearly kind of awesome. It's a very good card, understandable why it's on the list. In at number 4, also at 6,000 yen, but generally trending a tiny bit higher, we've got the alternate art of Viola. Now, this is another yellow card, and what we've got here is another blocker, but on play you get to do one of the following. You either look at all of your opponent's life and put them back in any order you like, or turn all of your life face down. Well, sometimes that's going to be useful, but other times you just, rearrange all of your opponent's life however you like. Oh, and you're also a blocker. And sure, you're a 0-cost blocker, so you block once and you're gone, that's fine. The idea here that you've got a blocker that can also just stack all of your opponent's life is kind of silly. Plus, people like Viola. Coming in at number 3, we're jumping up to 8,000 yen for Charlotte Frappe. And if you're thinking, hang on a second, yellow's getting all the love with the alternate arts here. Yes. Except for the Manga Rare and the Secret Rare, the next 3 highest cards in the set are all alternate art yellow. Make of that what you will. 8,000 yen, we're talking about $54. Now, the artwork here is kind of stunning and stylized, which is lovely. Also, looking at this card makes me want donuts. But we got a 1 cost, counter plus 2,000, and on play, you can add a card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand, and then draw a card. Now, you are taking a life, but there are cards that, want you to be behind on life. But also, it's basically a 1 cost card that draws you 2 cards. You get 1 from your life and 1 from your deck. That's kind of ridiculous, honestly. That is kind of ridiculous. It is going to lead to some big speed swings in yellow decks. You have been warned. And then the top 2, honestly, we probably could have seen coming. So, in at number 2, we've got the alternate art Bon Clay Bentham, which you might notice doesn't actually look at all like Bon Clay Bentham. And that's honestly one of the reasons why it's so high here. But of course, if you've read the manga, watched the anime, this will make perfect sense to you. But the fact that it is who it is, yeah, that's always going to inflate this card. This is number 2, but again, it is tied with Charlotte Frappe at the moment, despite the fact that the Secret Rare and Frappe isn't. On play, you add a Don card from your Don deck active, which is awesome. And then when attacking, you select one of your opponent's character, and then this character's original power becomes the same as that character. When it says original power, that's important, because it then means, of course, that any Don, etc. you've popped on, then will add on quite nicely. It's a very good card. And then obviously number 1's Manga Chopper. And we're going to see this as we go through, presumably for years to come, although it is interesting to see what's going to happen with Treasure Rares. We still don't know exactly what's going on with them. But the Manga Chopper is number 1 by a mile. I told you what it did earlier. The wonderful So-So alternate art was down at number 7 on the list. It's actually like a legit good card, but it's the Manga Rare. The Manga Rare is always the best. This one comes in at 130,000 yen, which comes in at pretty much $880. If you want that as a comparison, though, it's pretty much dead in line with Roanoa Zorro from OP06 and Trafalgar Law from OP05. It's a little bit higher than Kid. Kid generally comes in at 100,000, not 130, but obviously significantly lower than the alternate art, the Manga Rare Luffy. That shouldn't really surprise anyone. And I'm using the same website to get the prices from here, so it should be a pretty fair comparison. The Manga Rares generally do tend to be quite standard at the moment. 130 is about what you would pay. Kid is a tiny bit lower, and then obviously your Luffy is miles above, but that shouldn't really surprise anyone. It's Manga Luffy. There we go. That's what you need to know. Those are the most expensive cards from EB-01, and although I can't tell you exactly what the deal is going to be when it comes over here in terms of exact prices, expect the top 10 to look a lot like the top 10 I've just shown you here. Good. Excellent. So now it's over to you guys. Hopefully, I'm hoping I should be opening some EB-01 on the channel, actually maybe tomorrow. So that is something to look forward to. For now, tell me what you think about all of this in the comment section. Get us! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.